must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
From 1992 in Kenya, elections have always been divisive in the form of violence, in the form of malpractices, in the form of all types of gerrymandering that has led to chaos that we have seen that has engulfed this country since independence. The biggest obstacle of the Kenyan elections is a very simple way out. The obstacle is we have never changed the forest. We have changed monkeys in the forest. If you want to cure the Kenya elections, you get a cure, a permanent cure for the Kenya elections. Change the forest. The monkeys will not come to that new forest. Reforms and reforms have been done around the Kenyan elections. Rules, regulations, laws. Are these laws enforced anyway? The answer is no. Most of the people break it, go with it, create chaos after they have not been punished. So the basis of the BBI is to interrogate the chapter, the seriousness of why elections produce violence every 5 years. Why do people fight? Yes, someone would say they are linked with tribal cocoons that conduct themselves or take part in the elections. The answer could be clearer, nearer there. But the solution, therefore, to safeguard, even if it is tribal. South Africa has got the biggest tribe, the Zulu. But still there are safeguards in South Africa that have safeguarded an election. That the Zulus don't dominate the entire South Africa because the electoral systems are safeguarded by principles and institutions. The institution of elections in Kenya and in many African countries has always been the product and has always been an institution that produces violence. Everywhere on the continent, you see electoral commissioners confused in reading their election results. Some of them don't even know the results. Some of them don't know how many votes were garnered by both parties. To avoid this mess, Kenya needs to look completely and put emphasis on the electoral reforms that are needed so that in 2022 there is no violence in the elections that will be conducted. For this reason, therefore, I would urge the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Chebukati, to say bye-bye, because he has held several controversial elections that we have seen, including under his auspices, one election nullified in the history of Africa. Thank you very much, viewers.
With regard to corruption, we will continue to fight. Regardless of what will be said and done, we will fight, and we will fight, and we intend to fight and win. And it is unfortunate that sometimes this is politicized also, but as I said, this is a fight that Kenya must win, because if we can't create not just a fair environment, but a stable environment, it must also then be transparent. So that once you do your business, you know what you need to do, how you're going to do about it. So your business succeeds not on the basis of who you know, but how you do your business. That should be really what all of us should be focused on. Your business should not succeed or fail based on which government is in power. Right? It should be on the basis of the plans and the programs that you have as business people and what your business plan is. And that should be the basis of rating success. And this will happen. This will happen. It will be difficult. It will be noisy. But it will happen. It will happen. It will happen because there's no going back. And this is an agenda I just want to be very, very, very clear about.
Fellow Africans, since 1957, when Ghana gained independence, there has been quite a lot of political, social, economic indicators on the African continent that show that Africa has progressed from pre-independence Africa to post-independence Africa.
Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. From now on, there is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
66 years down the road, Africa finds itself with the first country, Ghana, having gained independence. We find ourselves still locked up, controlled, manipulated, instructed, logistically supplied, equipped by foreign powers that dictate our agenda. Africa is endowed with plenty of minerals, resources, good weather. The climate is so favorable for the growth of food enough to sustain us. But we find ourselves in countries where hunger is killing people. Hunger is killing people because most of the people have taken to arms to fight wars, conflicts. Starvation has taken the place of development. In most African countries like Sudan, South Sudan, Central African Republic, Cameroon, Nigeria, in Biafra, and the north of Nigeria, there is Boko Haram. Somalia, in the Horn of East Africa, we have taken to conflict instead of development. Development was the key indicator. When Kwame Nkrumah made the first speech that seek ye African political unity, economic development will come automatically, he was right. The events happening in Libya today vindicates Nkrumah, vindicates Nyerere, Sekou Toure, and Nasser, the founding fathers of our Pan-Africanism. The events happening in Central African Republic, in Congo today, as the war of rebels ranges on between the rebel and the rebels and the government and the government and the rebels, vindicates the founding fathers of this revolution. Our independence, therefore, was only on paper. Our independence, therefore, was only in symbols. Our independence also was in signs. Our independence also was in boundaries. That we received our flags, but we never received full independence as by the word independence. Most of the 3/4 of African countries, French-speaking countries, have their budgets being done in Paris. Is that independence? The Paris government or the French government does its budgets based on how much they will get from African countries. Is that independence? Is this the Africa that you want? Is it the Africa that we must look at? Is it the Africa that we shall leave for the future generation? If the answer to you is yes, then so be it. But if the answer is no, you agree with me that this is not the Africa we want to live for the future generation. Our generations and the future generation need to find a legacy. What is the legacy that Africa and African Union will leave for the future generation? The wars ranging in Libya, in South Sudan, in Khartoum, in Mogadishu, in DRC Congo, in Amazonia, in Cameroon, Boko Haram, Mali, in Mauritania, the uprisings in Algeria, all point to one thing, that yes, we are not yet independent. We are still controlled by external forces. Thank you.
Kusema ukweli, ijapo unachoma utatuweka huru. Taifa letu la Kenya limesonga mbele tangu mwaka wa 2013. Wakenya hatuna budi kusema ukweli, ijapo unachoma utatuweka huru. Taifa letu la Kenya limesonga mbele.
Your Excellency, I want to really thank you because you have been the person behind it. This is the biggest solar power plant in East and Central Africa, Your Excellency. This is one of your key projects which is going to enable us in terms of the manufacturing. Right now, it is going to supply 54 megawatts to the national grid. It is connected all the way to Masinga, all the way to Nairobi, Your Excellency.
Tumekuja kuanzisha sasa kirasmi hii project ya solar, na hii ni mwanzo, kwa sababu kulingana na zile taratibu tuko nazo kama serikali kwa muda wa miaka michache, kutoka nguvu ya jua solar, program yetu tumejipanga kuwa na karibu megawatts 400, 400 megawatts ambazo zitakuwa zinatupatia umeme kupitia jua. We are developing our country uniformly across from Moyale mpaka Namanga, from Mombasa mpaka Lake Victoria. Kila Mkenya anajiona ya kwamba ako ndani ya mipangilio ya maendeleo ya serikali yake. Na hiyo ndiyo njia pekee ya kuunganisha taifa na kutuwezesha kujenga na kuinua hali ya maisha ya watu wetu.
You indeed told me that a jobless Kenyan is a desperate Kenyan. You told me also that a hungry Kenyan is a negative Kenyan. You told me that a sick Kenyan is a weak Kenyan. And you also told us that a homeless Kenyan is a Kenyan without hope. You, the Kenyan people, spoke clearly. We want dignity. We want to put enough food on our tables. And we want a lower cost of living. We listened. Since, and on reflection, I have come up with 4 responses to these concerns, and I call them the big 4. Food security, affordable housing, manufacturing, and affordable health care for all.
That is the position on the big 4. Food security, health, universal health care, housing, affordable housing, manufacturing. Many of the people in the rural areas would like to know how food security is very important, to have food enough for eating and surplus for export. to have enough food to feed families. Many people would like to know what universal health care is. We need to start to talk to people, to tell them, to do documentaries. How is the fishing? What type of fishing can be done on a small 1 acre? We need to go out inside in the villages, get our teams that can come up with all documentaries, weekly, daily, so that fishing can be improved. Fishing can become one of the food. When people talk about food in Africa, Miriam, in Siaya, for example, people think of the maize, but fish is also a food item that must be stored, that must have facilities for.
The fourth element is food security and nutrition. Since independence, we as a people have sought to ensure that our citizens enjoy food security and proper nutrition. And while we have made good progress, the challenge, however, remains yet to be fully conquered. It is time to address once and for all the multiple and interlocking factors that leave too many Kenyans at risk of hunger. Our immediate actions start now. We will bring targeted taxation to bear to put arable land to use. We will continue to encourage and facilitate large-scale commercial agriculture to diversify our staples through irrigation and other technologies. We will protect our water towers. Small-scale farmers will receive better extension services and market access, and subsidies will be redesigned to improve food yields and production quality.
We have said 3 items: obstacles, success, and the challenges. One of the obstacles is when the agenda was set out, there was quite a lot of politics that was involved. So time has come for us to remove politics from it and assure the people, the ordinary people, the ordinary mwananchi, citizen of Kenya, that if you have this, you can improve the food security. If you do this, you'll improve the healthcare system. If you do this, if you can plan for a cheaper housing in your local area, a cheaper industry, an industry, a cottage industry. For example, look at what we want people. How many youths can gather themselves into a group in Kayole? 10 youths. If you can be washing people's clothes, ironing them, their shirts, when they come from school, they pay you 300 shillings or 100 shillings, Bob, or 20. And if you are doing that as a small group, this is, you see, a small cottage industry begins there. Then you end up with a huge, dry cleaner in Kayole, made by youth. But most of the people in our African context, especially Kenya and Uganda and other places, people are focused on the government getting them the jobs. But there is a job. There is the youth fund where you can go and borrow 50,000 shillings and buy dryer, buy this, buy that. You iron people's clothes. There are so many people who are lazy who want, I'm not condemning them, but they go to work very early in the morning. They don't have time to wash this cloth. But you can say, bring your shirts here. You'll have them in the tomorrow morning. You put in a dryer, iron, another youth is ironing. You earn your living. You create employment for yourselves and for the people surrounding you.
So job creation.
I want you in this spirit to also turn to the person sitting or standing next to you. Greet them and say how proud you are to be Kenyan, and tell them that you are their keeper. Because to be Kenyan, at its core, is about loving your neighbor.
Launching the BBI Task Force report. Makofi.
Your Excellency, I am very happy that
the document, the recommendations and the proposals that have been put forward informs us on how to build institutions to get our politics away from personalities and ethnicities to institutions that will carry all of us, irrespective of who we are, where we come from, the language we speak, or the political party we subscribe to.
Kusema ya kwamba pesa mingi ije mashinani, tunaunga mkono. Ipelekwe mpaka ifike kama kuanzia 35% kuelekea juu. Hiyo pesa itumike kwa mambo ya maendeleo, not for consumption. Recurrent expenditure should not be above 30%. 70% should go for development.
Ni kwa nini baada ya kila miaka mitano tunaenda miaka mitatu ya kazi, miaka ya 2 tunapoteza kwa sababu siasa imechacha? Tunataka tuulize wafanyabiashara wetu wenzetu, ni nini nawazuia? Ni nini tuwaweza kufanya ndio tuhakikishe ya kwamba biashara zenu hazisimami? We must have development plans that are 20 years plus if we are to resolve our problems, my brothers and sisters. Tunataka tuwapatie assurance ya kwamba wanaweza kupatia wananchi mikopo ya miaka 10, miaka 15, kwa sababu they have confidence ya kwamba Kenya will be stable and Kenya will always have leadership, whoever it is.
Fellow Africans, I took this petition to the court in order to stop any future usage of falsehood and false documents, procured witnesses of the Waki Commission. I took this petition to the court 4 years ago in order to make sure that the Chief Prosecutor of International Criminal Court does not use this evidence anytime in the future, whether tomorrow or 10 years to come, to refer to this evidence because the evidence was fake. It is with this dismay and with this courage that I took to go to court in Kenya to seek a judicial review and to redeem the credibility of both those accused and the victims of this catastrophe that occurred in Kenya, that I decided to seek to expunge this report from the reports and the statute books of Kenya. It is unfortunate that the 3 judges in Kenya, whom I will name now, Judge Kanyi Kimondo, Judge Aburil, and Judge Onyengo, all of them sat down and gave very silly, flimsy, prudish, sardonic ruling against our petition. I want to tell the Kenyans that I have done my best. I want to be on record that should this thing reappear again, don't call me. Should it reappear again, don't say I never told you. Should the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court use this fake evidence again against Kenyans, don't say I did not tell you. My role was to go and remove these obnoxious toxins from the books of the Republic of Kenya. I therefore want to tell the world that my torrid road, a long road that I've taken in search for this envelope, has ended in Kenya so far. But I want to announce that Kenya is not the only state party in international law. Kenya is not the only state party. I will in future, very soon, detail to you which other state party I'm going to seek this envelope to be expunged and to be made public to the people of the world. I want to thank you all. I want to tell you that a detailed document which is entitled My Long Road, Torrid Road to Work Envelope will be found on www.panafricanforumltd.com. You can read it, you can dissect, you can see the days, the long road, what I took, what I did, referenced, well documented, and may God help you that at one time somebody in Kenya will stand up to say thank you very much.
In the fight against corruption, it has been demonstrated throughout the world that unless you sustain the war, and it is a war, remember that there are individuals, not only in Nigeria, but throughout the world, who suckle from the breasts of corruption. And they are not just about to win themselves off the suckling. They must be forced out of it, and they'll fight back. Because there are individuals, even in government, in all sectors of government, who now take their children to school on the basis of money corruptly acquired. They live in houses that are corruptly acquired. They do everything on the basis of things that are acquired through corruption. So when you want to stop it, they are going to kill you. They are going to ensure that you are neutralized. These are the people that you are fighting against, because these are individuals whose conscience is dead. And they are going to do anything on earth to prevent you. In fact, when one chooses to fight corruption, one must remember that he or she can't be eliminated at all times. And what President Buhari, and indeed any other president in the world, must do is to recruit the population. If the population has been wedded to the idea that corruption is a bad thing, then that is the beginning of the success of that battle. When I see, for example, your former Minister for Petroleum being investigated in the United Kingdom without being a sadist, I'm very happy. Because if you look at the wealth that he is alleged to have accumulated, that is unexplained wealth. Even if he lived for she lived for 1,000 years, she would never make that kind of money. James Seabury, who was prosecuted, convicted, and served sentence in the United Kingdom. What lacks in Africa is punishment. Impunity is alive and well in Africa. And we, the electorate, as I say, times without number, are in the business of celebrating thieves. We must stop. Yesterday, Barrister Farana said it very well, that we camouflage theft by giving them nice English names, money laundering, fraud, embezzlement, and all those veneers that make them look as if it is some kind of nice game. Let us call these men and women by the right name. They are thieves, stealing on an industrial scale. They are murderers. And once we begin to call them like that, and they have a mark of Cain upon their forehead, and we shun them, has it been done in African countries? Yes, it has been done. And I keep on repeating, in countries such as Tanzania, they are being dealt with. In Rwanda, they are being dealt with. In Mauritius, they are being dealt with. In Botswana, they are being dealt with. Once you begin to deal with them, then the others who may want to behave like them will begin to take the cue. We must, in the nature of things, earn what we earn through the sweat of our brow. That is the only way in which Africa will realize their potential. Many of these individuals who are in positions of leadership in Africa don't want to leave because they are thieves. And they are scared. They are scared that if they left office, they would be prosecuted. And my view is that they should be prosecuted. You know, individuals such as Hissène Habré, who we know what he did, was it in Chad, are a good example to the leadership that impunity will not thrive. Because I've been talking to a friend of mine from the Cameroons who tells me what is happening in their country right now. And other African countries are blind to it. It doesn't even occupy the headlines of the neighboring newspapers, of the country's neighbors' newspapers. Yet the Cameroon now should be in the same position as we see the conflict in Catalan in Spain. Yet we are attacking it in page 13 in newspapers in Nigeria, in Liberia, and other countries. The time has come that Africa must learn and realize that the world is not bothered about Africa. The world is only bothered about Africa when they want to take the resources of Africa. Then they bother. They want oil, they bother. And I'm using the word bother in a very deliberate fashion, not in the traditional orthodox fashion. They bother when they want to take our timber. They bother when they want to take our bauxite, when they want to take our coke, when they want to take our uranium. But they don't bother about us. They come to our continent without disrespecting the elephant, and they want to preserve the elephant so that they can come and watch the elephant, but they don't care if 100 Africans die. They want to preserve our monkeys. They want to preserve our leopards and our other animals, but they don't care about us. To them, Africa is a zoo of sorts. And until the day that we Africans realize that we are on our own, we are going nowhere. And very soon they are going to shut us out, if they have not shut us out already. We'll not go to the United States of America, we'll not go to Europe, and I'm happy that we are being forced to stay in Africa. Let us stay in Africa and build Africa. I mean, what does Africa lack in terms of resources? What do we lack? If it is solar energy, which continent is capable of producing solar energy to light this continent and the entire earth? If it is hydroelectricity, what can we not generate? If it is minerals, if we wanted to make bombs, if we should, where do they get their uranium from? If it is timber, what don't we have? If it is human resources, we are 2 billion of us. And we are people who have intelligence. And yet we are kept in a constant state of conflict. The Europeans, the French persuading their former colonies that they are more French than they are Yoruba. They are more French than they are Wolofs and Mandinkas. The British persuading us that we are more British than we are Ibibio or Yoruba. And of course, when we find ourselves in that schizophrenic state, then we engage in internal conflict and they sell their arms to us. Tell me, which African country makes guns? None. I think Africans must recognize that bad governance is harmful to their very well-being, not only for the current generation, but generations yet to be born. This is a continent that has always had potential. These are a people that have always had potential. But since we regained our independence from the colonialists, African leaders in many countries have consistently demonstrated that they are not working in the interest of their people. And that is sad, because many of the individuals who occupied positions of leadership are still beholden to the colonial masters. We see former French colonized nations, leaders who are beholden to Paris, those who are colonized by Portugal, beholden to Lisbon, those who are colonized by Belgium, beholden to Brussels, those colonized by the United Kingdom, beholden to London, and the single country that was colonized by Spain, Equatorial Guinea, beholden to Madrid. And this is tragic. Of course, currently, many African leaders are getting beholden to Beijing, and progressively the United States of America in Washington. The net effect is that the African agenda is being sacrificed to the detriment of the peoples. And we have examples which are live as I speak. The problems in the Cameroon, the problems in Togo, the problems in South Sudan, the problem in Central African Republic, in Mali, in Mauritania. And these are sad things. And the tragic thing is that the African Union appears to be helpless in this situation. Africa has been victimized by systems of government which we do not understand and which are not serving us well. And the time is now to wake up and to begin to find African solutions to African problems. Is it doable? Yes, it is. But we must wake up from our slumber, because those who are in positions of leadership are quite comfortable with the situation as it is. We must have something in the nature of an Arab Spring. The Arab streets woke up and they told their leaders, you are going to do that which is in our best interest. Unfortunately, some of the gains made after the Arab Spring have been clawed back. And that is a lesson for us, that if you regain your independence, you must remain eternally vigilant, because the forces of reaction are very persistent. You know what is amazing about the African Union, which is the immediate success of the OAU, is that it's beginning to let Africa down. I was amazed about a month ago when Zimbabwean president, whom I respected in his early days as a freedom fighter and as a man of vision and intellect, when he went to the African Union and made a donation of $1 million, and the African Union accepted it, in a situation where the people in Zimbabwe are suffering, where there is almost 80 to 90% unemployment. And the reason why the African Union has become, as you rightly say, a toothless bulldog is because there are no leaders who are true crusaders for the agenda of the African Union in the manner that we had in the early days, when we had Nkrumah, when we had Nyerere, when we had Haile Selassie, when we had Gamal Abdel Nasser. Today, in a very perverted concept of non-interference in the affairs of other nations, and in a perverted understanding of the idea of sovereignty, people are not their brothers and sisters' keepers, so that we know that there is a festering wound in South Sudan, and we are doing nothing about it. We know there is a festering wound in the Cameroons, and we are doing nothing about it. A festering wound in Togo, and we are doing nothing about it. And even when the leaders congregate in Addis Ababa for their annual jamboree, they don't discuss these problems. Right now, I would have thought that there should be an extraordinary session of the African Union to discuss a number of things, to discuss the countries which are in trouble, and I'm mentioning them ad nauseum, to ask the question, what is the problem in the Central African Republic? How can it be resolved? What is the problem in Togo, in Gambia, in the Cameroons, and in many other countries, so that we have African solutions to African problems. Because what we'll see very shortly is that the UN will sit down and send a peacekeeping force. And when there is no peace to be kept, and they send peacekeeping forces, when, in a manner of speaking, the horse will have bolted away. So the African Union is very disappointing. When Dr. Mahamat was appointed as the chairman of the commission, I thought that this was a new person that would come with new energy to replace Nkosana and Lamini Zuma. But what I see is lethargy. What I see is lack of enthusiasm. What I see is lack of direction. What I see is continued pain. I was amazed about a month ago, if I'm not wrong, when the international community asked the African Union to nominate a country to sit in the Security Council, and they nominated the Democratic Republic of Congo. How can you possibly nominate the Democratic Republic of Congo, whose president has refused to hold election, whose country is generating refugees, whose government is controlling Kinshasa only in real terms, and where there is conflict everywhere, and where the resources are being taken away by the Chinese, the Malaysians, and the Belgians, and other rogue individuals from Europe and America, and you nominate such a person? You nominate a hyena to sit in an assembly which is judging how goats should be preserved? It is a tragedy of gigantic proportion, and we consistently do this in Africa, and we think is normal. Africa has now normalized the absurd, and we think that sense is what we do, yet it is nonsense. And unfortunately, many of us who are not in positions of influence, our younger generation particularly, think that this does not matter. This matters. If you look at the history of revolutions, it was always the young people. As early as 1908 in Turkey, it is the young people who came up to rise up against the dictatorial regime. We remember even during the Bolshevik Revolution, it was the young people. We remember during the civil rights movement led by Martin Luther King Jr. and Ralph Abernathy, among others, it was young people. In 1968 in France, when there was a problem, initially in 1958 and 1968, it was young people. We remember in Tiananmen Square, it was young people. We remember in Korea in 1908, it was the young people. In South Africa, in the Sharpeville massacre in 1969, it was the young people. In Soweto in 1976, it was the young people. In the Arab world, it's the young people. But our young people in Africa today are imprisoned by Arsenal and Manchester United and Barcelona and Real Madrid, and our young girls are imprisoned by cheap South American soap operas and Beyonce Knowles. How can that be? How can a continent be so accursed that our young people have no sense of our history, no sense of our presence, no sense of our future? No wonder the Chinese are conquering us by the day. And we are wondering. John F. Kennedy said in 1960, a society whose young men and women are in a constant state of slumber will never realize our potential. Our young people must wake up. It is only the day that they wake up that they will be able to send a clear message to those in positions of leadership that you cannot continue to misgovern us. I look forward to those days. I have mentioned President Mahmoud Buhari fondly in a number of forums, but remember that President Mahmoud Buhari came into office and has been unwell, and therefore he is not performing at full throttle because of sickness. And you must remember that when the captain is unwell, even if there is another captain who replaces him, the ship does not move with the steadiness that it deserves. Remember that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria inherited a system that was rotten to the core. rotten because of corruption. In fact, he campaigned and won the elections on the promise that he would fight misgovernance and corruption. And I have no doubt in my mind that those who are corrupt, when he is away and unwell in the United Kingdom, they celebrate, say, this is our turn. They fight back, so that there is a sense in which he needs support. And it's not lost on me that his Vice President Osinbajo has tried to support. But when you are in an acting capacity, there is a limit beyond which you cannot go, lest your president think that you are beginning to undermine him. I wish your president Godspeed in recovery, and also that he institutionalizes and ensures that his agenda is bought by the others. There must be a buy-in. If you look at the whole concept of religion, even if you want to give it a spiritual dimension, in the Christian religion, Christ had a message from heaven, but he sold it to 12 others, and there was a buy-in. And that buy-in is what has seen Christianity spread over a period of 2,000 years. The Prophet Muhammad had an agenda. He said he went to the mountains and he was told, Ikra, read, and he read and came back with the agenda, and he sold it. He tried to sell it in Mecca.
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi. We are sorry for the late delay, but I hope you enjoyed those clips and the videos. First of all, we want to thank you that today we shall take only on one topic, which seems to be touching the entire Africa. And we want to talk about elections. With me in the studio this afternoon, wherever you were in Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Mauritania, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Nigeria, DRC, Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, Somalia. Good morning. Wherever you were in Khartoum, Sudan, South Sudan, time, and I told you, they want to extend the time. I told you, thank you very much. In Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, Malawi, tomorrow, the cities look like ghost cities. Why? Elections. Why? Elections. It is very important to talk on topical issues that touch Africa than waffle, talking about this, that, copying the whites. There are issues that we must support on the continent of Africa. Elections, Zimbabwe, Harare, same problem. The only country that has no election problem is South Africa. Nigeria, 84 million people registered, only 28 vote. Elections. Another country where there is no problem of elections, Ghana, well done. Tanzania used to be one of the most moderate states, but we see political parties boycotting elections. Elections, and elections on African continent. As a man who lectures, I think I will do that. And later on, I will be interrogated by none other than another person who will mark my marks, my exam, and see whether I have passed. We shall interrogate each other on this subject. Does Africa need elections? If it is elections that tell you to go and disrupt somebody's rally, isn't it elections? That you go late, you find protocol has been done, you want to sit at the podium, at the high table. What Jesus even said, sit somewhere. You come late in a classroom and you tell the teacher, I want to be in front there, stop lecturing, I want to come. Elections. Elections, elections, elections in Africa. In Uganda, you see the mess in Uganda today? Elections. The mess. Our country has food. We are lucky. Uganda is a very lucky country. You know why? It has food. We don't import food. It's the only country in East and Central Africa that does not import food. We have our food. Had we not got food, wow, Mr. Museveni would have a runner for his money. Elections. Elections in Africa. Listen to this voice. If I don't speak, Nkrumah will be annoyed. If I don't speak, Nyerere will be annoyed. If I don't speak, Obote will be annoyed. If I don't speak, Jomo Kenyatta will be annoyed. If I don't speak, Secretary will be annoyed. If I don't speak, Gabriel Nasser will be annoyed. If I don't speak, Lumumba will be annoyed. Patrice Lumumba. If I don't speak, Sankara will be annoyed. Africa needs someone to speak. If I don't speak, Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie, killed by and executed by Mengistu Haile Mariam, he will not speak. He will not be happy. If I don't speak, Amira Cabral, Mondlane will not speak. If I don't speak, Mandela will not rest well. If I don't speak, Chris Hani will not rest. I have to speak for Africa. I have to stand up. Samora Machel will not speak, will not be able to be happy. You will have killed them twice if I don't speak. Viewers, that is the essence of our discussion this afternoon. Elections, elections. Baba Tafawa Balewa, the first Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, stood up and said, one day Africa must speak. And if we don't speak, then we have not speak. Then we have not talked. Nigeria today is in chaos because of elections. First, Miriam, with that introduction, let's come back.
Right. Good afternoon.
With that serious Pan-African vision,
yes.
Let's come back to the ground.
So yesterday.
Yes.
So what I just wondered after what we watched in the news and during the event that happened in Kitui, were a person like Moses Kuria, Murkomen, and the other one, did they alert the organizers of that meeting that they were going to be part of that meeting?
Look, the meeting in Kitui, the meeting in Mombasa, Miriam has been a well-organized platform for the orphans of Tanga Tanga. Call them orphans because they have nobody now to lead them. The owner cannot come up and say, I'm the owner. The younger men have been, and the women have been left to run. What do they do? If you have been called to go for a meeting, if you are really uniting Kenya, if you want to discuss unity of Kenya, why don't you go alley, fly alley with these hired corrupted helicopters. You saw how many helicopters were there when no Kenyan is eating food. No Kenyan is paying school fees for the children. No Kenyan is having the ordinary food. But there was a fleet of helicopters hired from the same people who have corruptly taken in the money. That's the Africa we have. They arrive late, the meeting has taken off, they sit in cars somewhere. They time when they are reading resolutions. Then these lumpens storm the meeting. That is the politics of adolescence. And nobody should stomach this. Kenyans can stomach, but me, I am exposed internationally. I can't stomach. I'm sorry. You can't enter a classroom, a lecture room in Oxford. Some of us went in good universities, like a Canterbury, London Guildhall, organized, manners with behavior. But a man who went to a university in Saudi Arabia, like Moses, you know, where even he doesn't speak Arabic, or Tehran, he was taught radicalization. So he enters a meeting. People have started reading their resolutions. Then you disrupt for populist. And I repeat, me, I have no words. I swear. I told you from the other day, I have no words to spare here, Miriam.
That was a populist.
It's a populist to sit on the ground to buy cheap votes for Ruto. Shame.
And
why can't Ruto himself steam? Let him come in those meetings. The meeting is going to be a redirect. Aende aone moto. The train has left. Kuja Meru. Come and make Kuria. Come and disrupt the meeting in Meru. Sindio mwenye nchi alitakuwa huko. You might go to pieces. Ask Itumbi what happened to him at Bomas. Wenyenye mnacheza. You are played with Kenyatta too much. But this is not the same Kenyatta. Hello.
But what I don't understand, Doctor, is the same people, and I'm not even leaning on any side here, I'm just trying to understand some thinking behind some of this move by our politicians. It is the same people, Murkomen and the core, that the other time they attended the meeting in Mombasa, then they had...
they were given audience.
They had a press conference. They said they'll be having their own parallel meetings. So where is...
It's money. Miriam, I'm telling you, it's money. They are plucking money from Ruto. They say we want them to organize a meeting in Naivasha. When MPs, they said they had 170 MPs. Did you see them? They went for love making in the hotels. And then they turn up in the morning to say they want, when the MPs, most of the MPs who came, heard of the impeachment, they ran away. It's now a fact. We have CCTV collection of people in that hotel speaking. So you challenge me, I will play them. That's it. That's the way we are going to be doing things now. Hallelujah. On this social media, tutacheza. You say you did not speak about impeachment. Then did you kill those cameras in the hall?
So that is the main reason.
Yes.
They met in,
yes. Yes. These children are disturbing. Small boys, they are disturbing. Let me be like a Tolly. At least I'm older than Moses and Chungwa, that George Soros Lickman. I'm older, so they will not threaten me. The only thing they will threaten me is because I'm not a Kenyan. Lakini kama tunakuwa nje huko international politics, tutacheza. Tena kama wachunge, tutacheza na hawa. Some of them might not even travel somewhere. Nyenye, don't play. You know what? They are playing. Don't insult Kenyatta. Kenyatta has friends. Yes. We don't insult Ruto. No. No. We have never. I have never insulted Ruto and said you are stupid. Never in my life. Lakini they should not insult Kenyatta. Kenyatta's friends are Pan-African, very many of them. They love him. Kenyatta has taken the place of Mugabe. Mugabe could be loved. Zimbabweans used to hate Mugabe. But when Mugabe comes to Uganda, he picks the a welcome, except some idiots in NGO who pick up George Soros' money, who hated him. But the truth is that the meeting, these guys have arranged the meeting. There is something lacking in Kenya. And can I tell you what is lacking? This thing has been there for a long time. Look at it. When Ocampo came here in 2008, Ocampo threatened everybody. You know, Kenyans are very good. They talk on social media. But none of them, I swear, none of them could stand up and tell Ocampo to shut up. Even the president that time, Kibaki, could not. Wacha tuseme ya haki. They were allowing these guys to go. They were allowing, yet you cannot win an international case of ICC without advocacy. I have studied this subject. I teach Wazungu, they pass it. Go tell me where you can win an international case of ICJ without politics. Without politics. Yeah, Somalia. If the new foreign minister of Kenya does not work quickly to do activism, you are dead. You are dead. You need activism. The new foreign minister of Kenya needs to activate himself quickly. The Somalis are deadly. They are playing so many tricks. You have seen what they are doing. So, look at that. They don't speak out. They wait. Why have we been waiting? Now, you go to somebody's meeting, well arranged. They are reading resolutions. Murukomen and Kuria arrive and sit in cars. When they see the popular moment, they disrupt.
So that was a strategy.
Yes, not that is the strategy. That is what they have planned.
That was the intention.
Yeah, that is the intention in Mombasa. You saw they would have been in Mombasa the previous evening. Do they come late in Ruto's meetings? Do they? Jamen, you people are going to divide it, kill this country. If there is nobody who stands up to tell you, I have said it, kill me. I'm ready. My children have grown now. At least they will not mourn that I lost half of the life. I grew at my age. My grandchildren will be the ones, the 9 of them will be the ones, my 9 grandchildren will miss me. Now I'm not going to let it. Africa must change. You know, linking it to elections, we have been doing very well. The day they said the election in 2022, they started plotting. You know, these plots started a long time ago. If you are plotting for power, you can even grow thin. A man who had weight has become so thin. Karibu anaanguka, wataanguka haki because of power. Me, Matanga, let me grow my way. There are people here going to India to remove sijui what. Mungu alikupatia hiyo kitu, kula chakula. Kama Mungu anafika time to say you go home, go home. Hii mambo ya kwenda India unasema unatoa fat, unatoa fat, wewe ndio Mungu. Some people look like they are suffering from AIDS. Yes, don't do these things. It's God who has given you the body. Just to do it nicely, have no disease, enjoy. Lakini kwenda huko upigane na Mungu, nasema remove, you will one day remove the vein, it goes differently.
The gastric bypass. But now, were they able to achieve whatever they wanted to achieve yesterday? Murkomen and, the others, the 2 others. They seem to have achieved whatever the purpose
they achieved because they want to play politics. Politics of populism.
And attention.
Attention seekers. They said they will not go. Mulukomen led a group to impeach. Now they are ashamed. We got their receipts. We got their CCTV from the hotel. They are meeting in a hotel of the owners whom they are plotting. Stupid people. Why don't you meet under a tree? I speak with evidence. You tell me I'm a liar, I play the videos. Ndio wasikie watu walikuwa wanazungumza nini. Some of the MPs, half of them ran away. Ran away when they heard this is the intention. They said no. No. Watu walikimbia pole pole walitoka. I am telling you. I've written it black and white. Chronological events. And I've been saying it here. Machiavellian politics will destroy this country called Kenya. Kenya will be destroyed by Machiavellian politics. Someone plants a story in a newspaper, then comes around on the Facebook, on Twitter, writes, I am not the one. I'm not the one doing it. You know? Machiavellian politics. Adolescence politics. Politics of younger people who, you know, when you grow in a home, when you don't have a latrine, and then you go to the bushes, but when you find a latrine, you could overuse it.
All right, so they have been...
Yeah, no, honestly, Millicom is overusing this.
The power.
Yeah, strip him the power. I don't know why the Senate is waiting. We have now, the Uhuru has majority. Move! Must move on these guys. They are down now. Move, get them. They are down. Their strategies failed. Go for them now. You cannot be having bodyguards. Intimidate people with bodyguards. With too many vehicles following you. With light, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Because you are a leader of majority. You have seen how Duale has hidden. Duale has dived.
What became of Duale?
Duale knows. He can go easily. He can easily go.
Does he attend this parallel?
They did not calculate their... No. They did not calculate their numbers.
He's been very quiet.
Their numbers are now not matching the numbers of the big two. The big two have more numbers. Now everybody is ducking, trying to go to this rally. If you are going to this rally, go with one heart to unite the Republic of Kenya. Jameni unity. Jameni unity. Jameni. We people who are talking here cannot talk in our country because of conflict. That's what I wish we knew. Like now, I would not have said this. You know, when Museveni used to come to London, I could collect 4,000 Ugandans. We even, policemen in London used to tell me, boss, you told us 200. But now this is a big crowd. Next time we shall not give you a permit. I said, no, I didn't know. I put up there was no, you know, at that time there was no
social media.
There was no social media. Like now, if I'd been in London, I could take over the streets. My Jamaican boys would come down, come reggae. Nyenye mnasema mnajua. Where do you play? We have been there. Forget about this stupid man called Bob White. He cannot mobilize better than Matanga. That's why Museveni does not fear him. Museveni fears real men. Real men. They are here. Not Bob Wine. Bob Wine can make noise. Because first of all, he's too small. He can just be picked and be thrown. But me, I'm a heavy banana though. In London, I used to make life difficult. But now I've forgiven him. We have forgiven each other. I've said, fine. God told me, let's do it. London, one announcement. The whole center where his hotel, equal full, kabisa. Even we are drinking inside. We drink inside and threaten the few bodyguards who have escorted Museveni to London. They run away. You don't know mobilization. Museveni does not fear any of these people. Because one, Museveni could not fear Besigye, because Besigye was his doctor. This other one, Mao, was his MP, singing, "Oh, Your Excellency, Your Excellency." This other one called Mujisha Muntu, "Oh, Commander, Commander, Commander." Another one, who is that one? The other musician called Bob Wine, "Oh, Reverend Joseph, President of Uganda." Hey, now you are coming back to say you want to oppose him. Be like a man like me, like me. Stand firm. I have stood firm, I tell you. I've been attempted to be killed. I tell you, God has kept me. Yeah.
John Clark is saying Kenya needs diplomacy managing the BBI. I don't know what.
Exactly. That's a point. John Clark, you have a point. There's a need of diplomacy. Protocol followed. You can't just come into a meeting, break it down. Because you are Moses Kuria. Behavior of that nature, even in a classroom, you can't just go there. You have to be obedient to your teacher who is lecturing. But these guys wait. They want to, the purpose is to disrupt those meetings, especially in areas where they want to you know, areas where they want to pick like a, they need to pick Kalonzo. So there they wanted to make the meeting look funny. But Kalonzo stood his ground. And he's saying he's going that route. So they were left shameless. A whole MP, you sit down, your children. Moses has got a very big boy like this. I saw him in Los Angeles. How does that boy look at the father sitting on the floor being pulled like that? Me, I would have shame, man. I used to do that when my children were young. When I come back, then they ask me, Dad, what is all this stupid? They didn't understand what I was going through. What I was going through, they did not understand. They slowly started understanding me. 3 of them have picked my political line. The rest are conservative.
Conservative.
The last couple is so political, watching events. Her analysis is sharp on these issues. Labour Party, conservative, she's sharp. She knows, she says this is not manageable. That's the type of thing we want. Now, I can't sit like that to be embarrassed. Miriam, the only thing that this boss of yours here can look at him, what he doesn't want is embarrassment. If I have not invited in any place, I don't go. If you have invited me to eat rice in State House, is it State House?
It is State House.
It's called, yeah,
State House.
Up there.
Yes, you don't go.
And then you give me a card which takes me to E. I don't go.
So who sits at E?
I don't know.
All right, but also as much as John Clark is saying Kenya needs diplomacy managing BBI, that is very true. But as well as, I don't know if the politicians, Mr. Murkomen, and the others who came late, I think that was done on purpose. I don't know if they had informed the convener of the meeting, that is the leadership of the Kitui County, out of respect and courtesy. I think they should have done that and perhaps say they are coming, and maybe seats would have been availed to them, and when they arrive, they will be given. And also, when you're going somewhere and you've been invited as a guest, it is proper that you arrive early on time. So I think
to avoid the disruptions. Yes.
So of course, some of the things there, and I don't know, some people on social media have seen Kenyans saying that those sentiments by Governor Ngilu might look like they were they were inciting the public when you were saying anybody who is against President Uhuru Kenyatta will not be allowed to speak here, and they need to be removed from that after those leaders arrived in that manner. So I can understand where her anger was coming from, because that was disrespectful. You don't come to someone's staff and start disrespecting them because they seem to be disrespecting the whole event. But I don't know the sentiments by Ngilu, if they were proper. I don't know.
Yes, but Ngilu's statements are correct, because they want to sit at the podium, at the VIP. They want, okay, if you have come to attend, come quietly and sit behind.
Come early.
But Ngilu and Kibwana are reading resolutions. You not see the resolutions were interrupted.
Out of courtesy, they would have waited, perhaps.
Yes,
yeah.
And they listened, even in the church. Even in the church, when they are praying, you first wait.
We wait. Even in my church, you can't enter. You have to wait, and then you go find a seat. It's just proper.
So that is the problem of Africa.
So while we're talking about does Africa need election, of course in Kenya, presidential elections have been marked with a lot of deaths and violence, protests especially, in the couple of past few elections. So I don't know, in line with today's topic, Doctor.
It's the same, Miriam. Today's topic, I wanted you not to stress yourself too much. I wanted you to look at all African countries. Pick examples. Riek Machar in South Sudan.
And we'll talk about that, yes.
Pick examples. Mutharika in Malawi. Pick an example. Buhari in Nigeria. Pick an example. Paulo Biya in Cameroon. Pick an example. Museveni Kaguta in Uganda. Pick an example. Magufuli in Tanzania. Opposition in Tanzania rejected all local. There is no local councillor of Chadema.
They refuse to participate.
They refuse to participate, to take part in elections. Pick any country. Zimbabwe. The small boy called Chamisa. I call him small boy because he behaves like a small boy, similar to Murikomen and Kuria. He goes to TV, he says, they ask him, have you ever spoken to Mnangagwa? He says no. Have you ever tried to call him? He said his line is engaged. He should call me because I won elections. Everywhere in Africa, elections are becoming a problem for us. Do we Africans need elections? Sincerely speaking, wherever you are, don't insult us, please.
No, Abraham Wangila Ofula, thank you so much, sir, for joining and saying you have gone now to my favorite topic. Now we are talking about other African countries. He's saying Kenyan elections sometimes are just too much. He can't handle it. So now he's saying now you've arrived. So he's happy that we're talking about Zimbabwe as we continue with the rest of the countries. And of course, the day after the elections in Zimbabwe, the MDC Alliance, led by Nelson Chamisa, said they had won the presidential vote, preempting. They announced before even the official announcements were out by the Electoral Commission there in Zimbabwe, prompting its supporters to celebrate in some areas of Harare. That has always been a problem with the especially opposition in Africa. They announce their own results before the official results, and then that already sets the country to chaos.
Yes. The question of Zimbabwe, for example, you saw what happened. Up to today, 2 years in the tenure of Emerson Mnangagwa, Mr. Chamisa is still saying he won an election.
Yes, he does. And he does not recognize President.
And he doesn't recognize President Mnangagwa. So, how will the country develop when a leader of opposition, a man who garnered 2-point-something million votes, goes around the world asking the world to put sanctions to dismember the same government that he is yearning for? He wants to rule these people, but he wants to rule people when they are dead. The natural catastrophe, the food, the hunger, the humanitarian suffering, the economic hardships in Zimbabwe came about because of elections. If you look back at the story on where Zimbabwe went wrong, Zimbabwe went off hook after the 2002 elections, when the late Morgan Changarai decided to call for Britain to impose sanctions against Mugabe. Election is election in Africa. It is I swear, you look at every African country today. Tanzania was the most peaceful one. I hope you have put it on the list. The most peaceful one. Now Tanzania is being targeted. Last weekend on Friday, the regional commander of Dar es Salaam was given sanctions never to step near United States of America.
And the World Bank refused to remit the 300 million
shillings for Tanzania
for the schools,
because of elections. We are coming to a classic example tomorrow. Tomorrow in Malawi. In Malawi, tomorrow, all schools, all boarding schools
have closed down.
Are closed down.
All schools have closed down.
Children are missing to go to school because of elections. Because the verdict comes out tomorrow.
Yes.
George Soros has pumped opposition. Hey, it is a bloodbath.
I pray not.
No, it is.
Yes, but of course,
be honest. Be honest.
Yes.
The verdict is going to bring bloodbath on the streets of Blantyre and Lilongwe. That's why the National Teachers Association said, people's children die with your children at your home. So why should African countries be on a standby? Look at the Somalia. Today in Somalia, there is an election this year, isn't it? Everybody is almost eating each other. Even in Farimajo wants a renewed term. He is making it a very difficult area for his friends, arresting everybody because of elections. And that should be made very clear. Ahmed, you pop nose here about, you are telling us about William Ruto is a candidate for 22. We throw our weight. You and who?
Saying the Somali.
Who has refused? Who has refused you to throw the weight? Sile.
William Ruto is a Kenyan.
Nobody is free to. Who has refused Ruto to stand? Nobody. Yes. We are only criticizing the way, the behavior of people entering the rallies that are supposed to be uniting Kenyans. We are not against the president, and many organizations, newspapers are talking about it. So there is nothing that in Somalia, Abdulaziz Ahmed, yourself, you know, the prime minister is fighting the president because the prime minister wants to be the president.
They've started fighting themselves.
Oh yes. After selling all the oil riches, the smaller prime minister, that short smaller one called Hassan Harrier, has sold all the oil to Turkey, to Qatar. You know, they have brought these people. Look at the question. Look at Malawi. A very beautiful country. You know, if we go by order, we shall miss points here. People are making points here. You can see.
Yes, Abraham Wangila is saying dissect further the issue of Malawi. So let's just give a background, and then Doctor can join in and expound further. Now, a number of schools in Malawi, as we speak, have been closed and sent their pupils home ahead of a ruling, that is tomorrow on Monday, about the country's disputed election. Now, opposition parties are challenging the re-election of President Peter Mutharika that happened last year in May. And the judiciary has announced its decision will be made tomorrow. Now, the schools say they fear there will be violence in the aftermath of the ruling. Of course, leading bus companies have also issued notices saying they will not have services tomorrow. And Malawi has been experiencing an unprecedented wave of political violence since last year's elections. And so the information minister has come out and said the government has put in place measures to ensure all citizens are safe. So tomorrow it's a lot of uncertainty in the streets everywhere in Malawi there. So that is just the background because the opposition said no. But Doctor, when you look at the manner in which the elections of Malawi happened and the petition that the opposition took to court, that court agreed, okay, fine, this is a case that deserves to be heard. And then later on, they nullified the petition, and then President, Mutharika was allowed to go. And, so the manner in which the way the things were done, it's very suspect.
It's suspect, yes. It's suspect in that why the schools in Malawi have closed down. Offices have closed down from tonight. Even some aircrafts, Kenya Airways is even announcing.
They started closing down last week. Actually.
Yes.
The schools were closed down last
yes.
week. Yes.
Kenya Airways is not taking, if you want to check, book a flight to Malawi, the long way. They will not take you.
Even their own bus services have closed down.
Yes. So it is all because the outcome coming tomorrow from the Supreme Court could go either way. The judges could say Mutharika lost. So Mutharika could pounce opponents.
He will not agree.
He will not agree.
Become another bubble.
The state machinery will start cracking down on opposition.
Yes.
Opposition has been funded. I swear in the name of God, the money that has gone from George Soros' account in New York. And for example, please trust me, trust this face. Any money that George Soros writes, any check, I pick it the following 24 hours. Don't ask me how, ask Reggae. Ask Reggae. Wagwan.
Reggae has something to do with it.
Yes. The spirit of reggae.
Nobody can stop reggae.
We can't be stopped. Yes, with George Soros. This guy here, me, from the time he indicted Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto in the ICC, I started infiltrating his systems. Ask reggae.
I think we all need to pay Lucky Dube the royalties for that song now.
Yeah, we ask reggae. Wagwan.
His family is no longer there. Yes.
Malawi is in chaos. You know Madame Banda, Mrs. Banda. She united with opposition. She's NGO kingpin of Open Society Foundation. Open Society Foundation delivers money to opposition in most of these African countries. It is a replica in my country. Ask reggae. In my country, there is no opposition.
We are coming to your country, Doctor.
Mama.
And I have a lot today about Uganda.
Mama, there is no opposition in Uganda.
Yeah.
There is money. Money pumped in through. If you make too much noise against Museveni, they pump you with good money. Opposition is not organizing itself.
In dollars.
Oh yeah, it comes.
In dollars. But what I don't understand.
You ask them. They started a signature collecting to take Museveni to the ICC.
Died a natural.
Ask them how far, how many signatures we have got.
They collected so far. But Doctor, what I don't understand, especially in Malawi situation, and also I saw it happening in Nigeria last year after the petition, to challenge the presidential results there. In Kenya, we had a similar one, but our constitution allows that the president cannot be sworn in until that case is heard and determined. I don't know these other African countries like Malawi and Nigeria, where the president, his elections have been challenged, but still they go ahead and being inaugurated. Is this not setting up a country for chaos?
Chaos.
So what if the petition goes against the win?
Which that's why people have prepared their children to go home. They have seen the judges there seem to have woken up. They have eaten the fare. Kura fare. You see the saying in Kenya.
No, I don't.
Kura fare. Umekura fare. They have eaten the fare. The judges seem to have smelled the fare.
Hashtag Kula Fair.
Hashtag Kula Fair.
Who ate?
Africa. You know who eats the fare? George Soros has paid up to the... You saw how Maraga kula the fare here. Maraga kula the fare in this country. Alikula fare, nullified Uhuru Kenyatta. Kula fare!
Okay.
And when they ask you, why did you go to not school? Nini kula fare. Reggae.
It's because the background of that fair story is very... It's something.
No, I'm telling you the story.
No, we'll not talk about the background of that fair story. But what I'm saying is, such a constitution does not really serve to unite the country.
It doesn't.
Because should the petition, should the announcement by the court there in Malawi go against and say Peter Mutharika was not duly elected, I don't think that guy will step down that easily. It will be a Bagbo and that other
Babugo,
yes,
and Quatara.
Yes.
We are setting a situation of Babugo and Quatara.
He's been sworn in.
And I'm telling you in the name of God, the people who have sent the fare which has been cooled, who are going to watch. Did you realize that Tanzania and Malawi wanted to fight over Lake Malawi oil fields and the gas? Who was looking for the oil? Who was looking for the oil? Ahmed. My brother Ahmed called me, tell me.
Well, Ahmed Abdiaziz, he's just having a good time. Let's just leave him alone.
Yes. Who was fighting for the gas over Lake Malawi, the boundary? Tanzania says the whole of it, 3/4, iliachia nini Malawi katu kadogo. And when Malawi made a noise, he said the troops will enter Blantyre. Umesikia? The troops will enter. You cross and try to sell any ridge this way. TPDF itakuwa Lulongwe. Kamalawi si ndio ka small country.
It's a small country.
It kept off. Tanzanian troops can swallow Malawi in 1 minute. Swallow.
All right.
You remember Tanzanian troops went to Zanzibar Island, swallowed. They swallowed Seychelles. They had a coup. They swallowed that guy. Tanzanians were chasing. The one good thing I like about TPDF, may it live longer. You trained a disciple. He's here. TPDF does not joke. It swallows you. So, someone is playing these African countries because of elections. Now they have got the entry point, which is the Malawi contested elections. Believe me or not, Miriam, we have reggae.
And speaking about reggae, there's another reggae that is really on fire. That is in South Sudan. There is
a point that before we go to South Sudan, Ishmael Adejei has raised here.
And he's saying, as part of democratization in Africa, Africa needs elections in quotes in and only if elections can be conducted properly, end of quote. We should look at the way elections are conducted. The will of the citizens to elect new leaders must be respected, but not forced on citizens to conduct elections by force. Our leaders should desist from the winner takes it all politics and focus on the needs of the citizens. And on a side note there, he's saying democracy must also not forced on African countries like that happened to Libya. If citizens are comfortable with their governance system, they must be allowed to continue their governance and respected as such. For example, countries like Kuwait is not conducting elections, but they are at peace because the citizens like their governance system. Wow. He just summarized it very well. Ishmael, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ishmael. You see, this is educative. When you come to Punchline Africa TV.
Very enlightening.
Enlightening. Yes. You just do the summary.
Thank you.
Because we have not put what in political science, what Ishmael has said.
Yes.
I summarize it in one thing. There is no social contract in Africa.
True.
There is a social contract in Kuwait.
In Kuwait, yes. So they're okay.
Kuwait people were invaded by Saddam Hussein. They went back. They rebuilt their lives. There is a social contract. Everybody in Kuwait goes to school. There are a few beggars in Kuwait city. Africa, we eat and go. Look at this headline. Look at these ones of Kenya. The eating. Have you ever heard of President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday said, we need to read this one, to show an example of why we don't need elections. And because people think that I just collect these things from planet Plato. No.
So Zablon Nyanyuki, you're saying in Kenya, the VIP Ruto has hired Murkomen, Oscar Sudi, and Moses Kuria just to disrupt BBI. But he's also saying here that CJ Maraga refused the fare cut. The fare you were talking about. Apparently, CJ Maraga refused fare.
My sister, look at this one first.
Okay.
There's a very good one. As you go on, let me look for it. It's a very good example. If you look at what President Uhuru Kenyatta said, President Uhuru Kenyatta said that he has a problem. Why I have, I found it. He said, I no longer trust anyone. Those I used to trust to send to represent me and ensure that development projects are on the right track started being like hyenas, behaving like hyenas, and doing their own things to enrich themselves. Let no one cheat you from today. I no longer trust anyone.
Dr.
End quote.
Sounds like that analogy you like bringing here every time you talk about the Machiavellian politics.
Exactly.
Comments.
Thank you very much. It's not me saying, it is President Uhuru Kenyatta who said, for example, if I read it badly, let me write.
That. No, I actually read that.
I no longer trust anyone. Those I used to send to represent me and ensure that development projects are on the right track, started behaving like hyenas and doing their own things to enrich themselves. Let no one cheat you from today. I would no longer trust anyone. This is the president who has woken up, found his money, everything in one person's pocket. Imeisha. Walikula.
You mean the country's money?
Yeah, it was gone. It was gone. It was gone. The money, he realized it was too late. Now, today, this morning, I posted a messenger who was sent, ate the message.
Corrupted the message.
No, ate it. The corrupt messenger ate the message.
Now the messenger can corrupt the message.
I have not dropped anybody's name. It is up to you to finish the dots. In summary, when you are teaching your students in London School of Economics, where Ahmed did not go but went to Norway to study something called the technology of oil. Now, you just summarize it by saying
he's a petroleum engineer.
Petroleum engineer, my foot. What petroleum engineer? He calls me, this guy is called me kafir. You know?
Not him. It's from.
Oh, yes, him and the president of Somalia.
Ahmed can't pay for the sins of Farmajo.
Farmajo called me kafir.
Ahmed, I can't win for.
He said, where did this fucking fat kafir come from? Because I was speaking something about the ICJ. Hallelujah.
All right. So Emmanuel Malwal, you're saying no more sympathy votes. Kenya will decide in 2022. Abraham Mungila is saying maybe monarchy can be the solution to our divisive elections.
Yes.
But the only monarch we have in Africa, Lesotho.
Swaziland.
No, Swaziland.
And the Lesotho also.
Eswatini.
The man killed the wife.
Eswatini now also wanted democracy. So maybe monarchy was not.
That's why I'm saying I brought this topic today because no professor.
Eswatini is saying, nah, this monarch thing is not working. This person is just, getting money.
Do you know?
Feeding all the wives.
Miriam, do you know I was somewhere? I asked a very one head of state in Africa one question: do you need elections? He fumbled. He couldn't answer me. Do you need elections? in your country. There is nowhere in Socrates, Aristotle, the Republic, it doesn't say hold elections every 5 years. In fact, if you look at countries in the entire world that have a constitution, that a parliamentary system, they are very stable. Can I mention Israel?
They've been giving the prime minister a headache there.
Yeah,
because it's a parliamentary system.
Yes, but they are very stable.
Yes, they are.
When it comes to fingering the Arabs, they are together.
They speak with one voice.
Australia, Britain, Germany. Chancellor Merkel has been there for more than 20-something years.
She's been there forever.
She's going for another term.
I can't even
there
remember.
Is stability.
I can't even remember who was there before her. Yes.
No, call. I can't. Don't go far. Ask the dictionary. It's here.
Okay, the dictionary. So
yes, Chancellor Kohl.
But she's been there for a long
time.
Kohl
has the leader of the Democrats. He ruled also for a long time. Chancellor Kohl brought down the Iron Wall. 1989.
The Berlin Wall.
We call it the Iron Wall. It went down. That's Chancellor Kohl.
So there are no term limits there. There are no
term
limits, yes.
Stability. There is just stability. One of the problems that Africa, if you want your elections, because for me, I wouldn't go for elections. Elections, how do you go for elections in Uganda?
We will come to you.
No, come to it quickly. Today I'm ready to talk about it.
And today I have the Supreme Court proposals and what Parliament.
So you have done very well
yes.
to bring them and ask me whether this will pass. They will pass very quickly.
Yes, yes.
They are going to pass them. Some they will reject them. Then the strategy of Uganda is, do you know how will you get 500 million? 500 million to be an MP.
500 million Uganda shillings.
Oh mama, it's a lot of money here.
Translated to Kenya to
you divide by 33. Exchange rate. Our production team should be doing that mathematics.
That's a lot of money.
General manager of media, social media, send us the figure. How on earth will an MP be able to collect that money? It is here. The Electoral Commission is saying it's 400 million Uganda shillings.
If you want to run.
Yes. It's almost 20 million Kenya shillings.
But that is how George Soros will come in and fund some of these people.
Okay.
That is how George Soros will come out and fund the people he thinks will champion. You know, because a lot of people cannot really afford.
The Plateau Republic simply said democracy is pitting ambition against ambition. The Plateau Republic never prescribed, they never described, they never gave you 5 years. We followed the British system. Unfortunately, the British system has got social contract. We don't have. Is there anybody in Africa who is being paid because he's not working?
No.
Show me one country. Show me. But in Britain, you are paid because you are not working. That's a social structure. So a person will not get annoyed.
Because poverty. is what really accelerates some of
So tell me how an ordinary one first owner, MP, a younger man who has a dream to stand in the constituency, and he's in opposition, can raise 400 million.
So these are just targeted laws towards a certain group of people.
No, to finish the opposition.
Well, George Soros will come in handy for the opposition.
Let him, he can spend. I have no doubt about George Soros.
And other people.
But a man like Bob Wine,
he can
a
afford
presidential candidate, is even worse. The figure is higher.
How much is that?
It almost goes to $1 million. Is this an American politics? What is it there for me for running $1 million? Then you fail and you lose the deposit. It is simple. I don't know why Uganda is even holding elections. Why? Museveni has already won this election.
But perhaps the
why are you holding election when the man has won an election already? By 12 noon, Museveni will be the president of Uganda.
So there will be legitimizing a process.
Please, in April.
A process that is...
You and I, if God keeps us, we are here.
God willing, yes.
Together.
Yes.
We shall announce, we shall say, I told you. Museveni has won this election already. Already, it's gone. Why are you... Where will Besigye get 400 million to give each constituency MP? Where? Where?
And let's just now talk about Uganda then, and then we can go to South Sudan after through. I see you're not very...
Bring it. No, you're telling me.
Yes.
I am telling you because one of my sons wanted to stand.
Your sons?
Yes.
One of your sons?
Yes.
He'll be risking his life.
No. He wants to stand as an MP.
In Uganda?
Yes.
But
that constituency is kept for me.
You're not worried that he's...
No. He can go. You cannot pass in my constituency without me. I'm telling you frankly today. It's kept for me. But me now I've passed that stage of a constituency. I can't go to become a member of parliament at 65. When I have got a child of 41, the firstborn. So I need the son. So you're saying, Daddy, can you collect for me 400 million? Because automatically he will take it. But I've told my son that, what for? Why can't we use it for something else?
All right. And as we talk about Uganda, so amendments to electoral laws tabled in July 2019. There were some amendments in 2019, caused a storm with the Uganda oppositions and civil society, with many questioning the government's willingness to conduct free and fair elections in 2021. Now, Attorney General William Byaruganga tabled the amendments contained in 5 bills before Parliament. Of course, the Supreme Court in July 25th, 2015, ordered the government to table the reforms before Parliament within the month. So these are some of the proposals by the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court, while giving those orders, said that the time of the filling and determination of petitions should be considered, should be made, and also the nature of the evidence at the time of holding fresh elections, the use of technology and equal use of state-owned media, because you cannot. In Uganda, all media houses, if you're covering too much opposition, that is a problem. So donations during elections period should not be allowed. Involvement of public officers in political campaigns should be banned. The role of Attorney General in election petitions and the late enactment of relevant legislation. So all of these are some of the Supreme Court proposals that they said they should work on, find a framework within this so that this could ensure free and fair elections. But what happened last year in Uganda's parliament, there were some amendments that were tabled there by the Attorney General, and one of them was provisions that include prohibiting cameras and mobile phones from polling stations, banning political parties from having links with pressure groups like the NGO, George Soros and the likes.
Have you seen that?
Banning independent presidential candidates from seeking alliances with other political parties. So what Bobby Wine wants to do now with Besigye, these are some of the things, but this has nothing to do with what the Supreme Court of Uganda, proposed. because what essentially the government is now doing, it had its own, electoral reforms that go against everything the Supreme Court had actually suggested, because whatever the Supreme Court has said, like perhaps now it is time for Uganda to have an electoral system. When it comes to the elections, there should be technology involved, like what you have here in Kenya, and also an equal use of state-owned media, because the way it is now, when you're in opposition, you cannot. If you have too much airtime, then the government will go reigning on that media house, and so it has been very unfair with the manner in which other parties are being covered, and also donations during election period. And the government has all the money and all the machinery, so it can go all over the place and issue money, even opposition sometimes. So this. The Supreme Court decided this is something that should not be allowed, but in its effort to look like it had those proposals, Ugandan government, represented by the Attorney General, came with a totally different proposal, like that one of prohibiting cameras and mobile phones from polling stations. So what they're saying is media people cannot go there and cover how people are voting.
So what is the good thing there?
What is the good? I don't know. And also banning, of course, political parties from having links with the pressure groups, that is the NGOs and other bodies out there. And also banning, this is the part I don't understand, banning independent presidential candidates from seeking alliances with political parties. So what Bobby Wine and Besigye are trying to do, coming together to work together, that is against what was proposed last year by the Attorney General there in Parliament. But this has nothing to do with what the Supreme Court of Uganda actually proposed. Completely nothing.
I told you, Miriam, if I were these guys in Kampala, I would not go to any polling station. I would not go and present any papers. And I'm telling Besigye, they are watching me. Please, these people, Ugandans have died a lot. And they die because of elections. Why don't you just leave this? The man declares himself. He will say he has won. Not he will say he's going to win. Where will you get 400 million for a parliamentary seat? I told the guy that to calculate, it should be about 200, it's almost 220 million, no, almost 30 million of Uganda, of Kenya shillings. Where do you get it?
That's a lot of money.
Where do you get it?
That is a lot of money. So it's very interesting. And of course, the elections are set to happen next year. And of course, that verdict, that is because a former candidate, Amama Bambazi, had challenged President Museveni's win in 2016. And of course, the Supreme Court said electoral reforms would improve the running of the 2021 general elections. And since then, the reforms have not taken place. And what we see that was brought to Parliament last year was a mockery of what some of the things that the Supreme Court there in Uganda had suggested and proposed to be included in terms of the reforms that perhaps could, make the country move forward. So whatever that was presented was just the rubbish to the whole Supreme Court proposal.
It's a sad day for my country. Mm-hmm. And I believe most of you in Africa, you have the sadness of an election. Mm-hmm. So, Miriam, the only thing that I want to say is, if elections are the main cause of our problems in Africa, the main issues of disintegration of states in Africa remain elections, can Africa sit down and find another modus operandi on how to govern themselves? Can we look at the values of mixing the old traditional institutions that kept Africans united? Because when you go for competitive elections in Africa, either the opposition will cry foul or the government will steal. So, what is the best way out? The best way out in Africa is to find a middle line where these elections are not conducted at all. The examples we have given this morning show you quite a lot of interesting things. In Nigeria, for example, last year's elections were cancelled 2 hours or 1 hour before the polling stations opened, because Buhari wanted to go back and steal, and he stole. He won. In Kenya, Maraga nullified an election. The other party went back. The other one did not go back. Thanks God, they thought of what can they do for this country. They brought what we call a handshake. It is growing, standing firm. It is again generating another opposition. Very serious, vicious. This is not a joke. It's a vicious opposition we have here. In Tanzania, the Chama cha Mapinduzi won everything, 99.99. Is that an election? In Malawi, before we wake up at night and go and have our dinner, watch our children to sleep and watch TV a bit, then eat and go, Mutharika had thrown himself into power. Is that an election? In Zimbabwe, the leader of opposition never, even before the announcement of results, he announced his. Chamisa announced his own results.
Declared his own win.
Then you ask, why did he go to an election? He did not wait for the Electoral Commission to announce, does Africa need elections? No. In Maputo, Mozambique, as we speak now, there are some members who are not in parliament, but they are elected on Renamo ticket. They contested the outcome because the chairperson of the Mozambique Electoral Commission said he didn't even know how many votes were cast. Do we need elections? In Egypt, General Ali Assisi won 99.9%. He changed the constitution for him to lead Egypt until 2032. Do we need an election? In Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, Mr. Ouattara has changed his age limit for a president to be. He said 75 is still young, he's able to ride a mountain. Let's change the age so that it remains. And he's now changing the constitution to block any other contender. Do we need an election in Africa? In Guinea-Bissau, the troops are on the streets. Conde wants to change the term limit, to extend his term limit. The killings have been taking place. Do you need an election? In Gambia, Mr. Adama Barrow said he will only go for 3 years. When he saw 3 years coming to a close, he says, no, my wife has told me, and the vision came from God at night when I was sleeping near River Gambia, the river that crosses through Banjul, not Bangui, Banjul. Banjul is the capital city of Gambia. Bangui is the capital city of Central African Republic. He says, God told me that I should extend another 2 years. There is chaos. We need an election. In Cameroon, there is an imaginary winner who wins by himself, declares by himself, and rules by himself. Paul Biya, 89 years of age, with a wife who has bought a wig for $1 million. When Cameroonians are hungry, do we need an election? In South Sudan, there you are. Bring you back. Take it over from there, Miriam.
All right. Following the independence of South Sudan, of course, Riek Machar was inaugurated as the first vice president to President Salva Kiir, and in 2013, the entire cabinet, including Machar, was dismissed by President Kiir on the ostensible reason to decrease the size of the government. However, Machar said that this was a step towards dictatorship as part of Kiir, and that on part of President Kiir, and that he would seek to challenge Kiir for the presidency. So this power struggle started then when President Salva Kiir dismissed the whole cabinet, including Riek Machar, and the country has never been the same again. And so the country was supposed to have gone to elections in 2015. That was pushed forward in 2018, and until today, South Sudan has not gone to elections. And now I would understand, Doctor, when that report that was presented to the United Nations saying that the leadership of South Sudan are very happy with the status quo, and that is why we see the dilly-dallying, and they're not really committed in finding this peace and this unity government, because they seem to be enjoying, because should the unity government be formed and signing of the agreement, that will mean another election must be prepared, and I don't think they're ready to have another election. So that could be the reason why.
Exactly. You got it right. You got it right. We have been running around it. It is here. I wanted you to hit it yourself, because me, I saw it long time ago. I saw it. I told you that there will be no agreement. These guys are going to fail. As the deadline draws near, they have already started. There are some contentious issues. The SPLA,
with 20 days to go.
Yeah, they have said no. There are some issues. They need more time.
No.
So that's part of the problem we have in Africa. We need an election. Why don't we just sit down under a tree and divide this power? Who is not a wizard? Who is a wizard? Who is a rapist? Who is not a rapist? Who is corrupt? Who is corrupt? Who is not corrupt? We give the non-corruptible, non-wizardry, non-whatever leadership. After some time, you come down and the country goes on. China, with its population, where I'm told people now, where this disease has spread.
Coronavirus.
Is it a biological warfare that we talked about?
About the things they eat.
I don't know. You know, when you go to eat, I don't know. You can't say there's something wrong, because so many theories are coming. First, God gave China the biggest population in the world. Then is God trying to reduce the population? Is God trying to reduce the population? Those are the questions that everybody should start asking himself or herself in Africa. There is one country that you have not touched on the question of elections. It's Kenya. We touched it at the beginning. Why BBI came into existence is because of elections. The flawed, the characteristics of opposition, saying we don't want the results. Even if you do, Miriam, you don't see my point, maybe. Even if you bring Angel Gabriel to run elections in Africa, there will be somebody who will say it wasn't good. That's it. There will be. There will be a section of people going by the what Malawi, which has forced the Secretary General of the United Nations to fly into Malawi to say, please, Because they have already seen where the verdict is going to go. They are privy. Those judges, some of the judges are very good, well-connected judges to the international community. They are going to make a landmark ruling in Malawi. It will be one of the best rulings.
That will set that country on fire.
On fire.
Which I hope not, but yeah.
So we shall be crossing live from Malawi, my technical team tomorrow in the morning. Look for cross live the satellite. They start maybe early. Malawi is 1 hour behind. So when it's 11 o'clock here, they are 10 o'clock. That means they will start at 9. So tomorrow our broadcast could start early, as far as 9 o'clock, so that we can pick, or 10 o'clock, yes, shall start at 10, which is 9, the courts open. And we watch. Miriam, I tell you, whatever ruling, the ruling in Malawi tomorrow is like the ruling on ICJ between Somalia and Kenya. If you rule that way, it goes bad. If you rule that way, it goes bad. So, there you are. Thank you very much. Is there anything we have left?
No, there's nothing else.
As we dismiss ourselves from here,
yes,
and try to call it a day, you did not go through the headlines. The headlines in Kenya revealed Jubilee lost Jubilee's 5 trillion shillings in complete projects, where people got handouts, kickbacks, and they are not complete. President Uhuru Kenyatta, we have read what he said, gloves are off, and Mr. Ruto seemed to be in a corner where he has to fight from the corner. I don't know whether blue corner or red corner.
Looks like a red corner now.
Red corner. Okay.
It's danger zone.
You see all the leaders who have been making noise, all of them have been whipped back. President Uhuru Kenyatta was in Kirinyaga yesterday, and all of them came back online. So I told you, don't play with reggae. Talk about reggae. It was very fantastic, the B40.
UB40.
UB40.
Did you attend? I did not go.
I called you so that we go, and you switched off your phone.
I love my sleep. What can I say? It's called beauty sleep.
Miriam, yesterday I called you. I called several times so that we can just go and witness.
But I love UB40 so much.
Can you sing one song of UB40?
Absolutely not all their songs. I'm not going to sing it here.
Eish. Well, Miriam, you are causing me trouble.
And I had to wake up very early to go to church, so there's no way I would have come back later from the concert. But I hear it was very good, and the charges were off the roof. But UB40 was in town yesterday, and they were performing, so nobody can say.
Raila was there.
Yes.
And the President Uhuru Kenyatta was there.
Yes.
With Mama Margaret.
Very good.
Yeah, they sang, they danced. Let me look for.
I saw those images. They had a good time.
You saw the images?
Yes, the pictures, yeah.
No, me, I like the music. The music of...
UB40.
Yeah, UB40. They have very good music.
Red, red wine.
Red, red wine. Hey. Red, red wine. There's another one, so nice. Another one. If you just give me a glimpse, I will sing. Hey, there's an hey. Those were very good, and if you love reggae, those were the songs that we used to sing to dance.
But you see, as people like UB40, you know, the older musicians, the songs they sang then are very timeless. It's not like the now musicians. You don't even know what they're saying.
see, that is the dance. BUB40 was in town, Kingston town. What does it, Jack, can you sing Kingston town, man?
John Clark.
Eh?
John Clark.
John Clark.
Yes.
Kingston town. I can see you know all these things, boss. But the things on the ground are not the things. Bindu bichenjanga papa. Things have changed down here. More Mohammed, Ahmed, things have changed. I know you have also changed the tune, but things have changed down here, man. Yes. The president is no longer the same one.
It's cracking the whip.
He says the messenger ate the message.
He must have listened. I don't know. He probably, he
Listens
must have listened
us.
to you.
Yes. He listens to us. Of course, no president would ignore our channel.
He got you another song there.
I got you, babe. Yes. But she refused to come yesterday.
Nothing to do with me.
I got you, babe.
Okay.
I called Miriam's phone.
That is the song for you
for the song for the.
I got you,
babe.
That is the song. It's not me.
No, that is the song. We needed to go there, all of us, and play and wave hands, do exercise. I needed it yesterday.
I was masking my face and putting face pills and all that. I needed my sleep.
John Clark masking her face.
That's masking.
Whereas Wafula gone, not Wafula. There is another gentleman.
Abraham. Wafula, yes.
No, there's another one who used to disturb us here. He's no longer here. Kiss me and I say goodbye. Oh, John Clark, you know these songs, man. I wish you were here. Come back from Manchester and come down here, man.
John Clark.
Yes, we shall welcome you in the studio one of these days when you come over to Nairobi. Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You say envoy calls for people. Let BBI ask the leaders not to hijack the debate.
True.
Why don't you ask Trump to agree that he bought information from Ukraine?
They used to bring Bolton to
they voted not to.
They voted. So by Wednesday, he'll be acquitted. So
that's it. But they know the American people don't forget.
They should not tell us about having proper things. Well, how could you have a trial without witnesses, surely? Where is justice in that?
There's no justice in America.
Yeah, Abraham, 20,000 was very high, of course.
Yeah, 20,000 was not high. This is not a communist state.
I think they were targeting a particular group.
And they got it.
And they got it, yes, sure. 20,000
is not a communist state. You have to work hard, Wafula, in order to.
Wafula works hard.
Yeah, I'm saying he works hard, but I'm saying hello from USA, Pitya, Davidika, Pitya. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, UB40 was in town
yesterday.
Baby, baby, baby.
That is red wine.
Red wine.
You cannot bring corruption in songs.
Oh. Thank you very much.
You cannot corrupt people's songs, especially.
It's 5 minutes past 4 East African Standard Time. We want to take this opportunity to thank you very much. To thank our listeners wherever you want to watch us, viewers, that we have endeavored, endured, stood firm to broadcast this for you every Sunday. And we shall continue to do that as we also engage you in all the circumstances, all the difficulties that you go through. Tell us about Africa. The people of Libya, the people of Central African Republic, the people of Amazonia, the people of Biafra, the people of Somalia who suffer the incursions of Al-Shabaab, and the people of Nigeria who suffer the incursions of Boko Haram. We pray for you, and we think and we pray and ask God to rethink about dropping tears in those countries. Thank you very much on behalf of Punchline Africa Television, and on behalf of my co-presenter, I hand it over to her to summarize.
All right, so thank you so much. Tomorrow, let's meet here. Of course, today is 20 days to go towards South Sudan peace deal. So tomorrow we shall bring you the latest, as well as look at that ruling that we are awaiting from Malawi, and we're just praying that things don't get worse. And we shall keep you up to date here tomorrow. So thank you so much. Let's meet here 11 a.m. East African time.
10.
No, 10 earlier. We'll start an hour early.
Because of the Malawi,
yes,
we are anxious. We have tried to contact our correspondent, someone in Malawi, to film for us what is on. Oh my God. John Clark is saying we are breaking his heart.
No, that is a song from UB40.
You are breaking this man's heart?
You went and bought your glasses. Read. So don't have trouble reading. This one of the songs by UB40 it's called "Don't Break My Heart."
How does it go?
No, I don't want us to sing.
Me, I have only one song that I know of Mbaraka Mshe. Hakuna kitu kibaya kuduniani kama shida. Kila siku shida shida. Oh, siku paka siku ya mwisho. Oh. Ijague shida. It means there is nothing in the world, which is bad, as shida in English is called?
Poverty.
Trouble.
Is it trouble?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shida. Kila siku shida shida. Oh, siku ya mwisho. Every time trouble. Paka siku ya mwisho. Thank you very much, viewers. God bless you. This station is for Africa, by Africa, with Africa. Ciao.